This is a film by Idai Makaya. If you'd like to order books to learn some of the skills and fitness techniques demonstrated in this film, please check the description in this video.
Hi, my name's Idai, and this video is all about my 4-year journey pursuing the pull-ups and chin-ups world records. So if you want to know everything there is to know about those exercises, this is the video for you. I'm going to share everything I've learned. It's a very personal journey. I have my reasons for why I put myself through this, but I've learned a lot, and I hope everyone who watches this video finds something in it that helps them too. Enjoy! Today is the 8th of November 2016, and about a year ago I started noticing an increase in the number of pull-ups I could do in the gym. I hadn't done anything differently. Well, I thought I hadn't until I realized it was actually being caused by the fact that I was working harder on my legs, and that was probably causing my body to produce more growth hormone. I started doing, first of all, it was 11, then 12, then 13. Every week I kept adding one extra pull-up until I was doing 20, and I found that quite intriguing, and it got me thinking about just how many pull-ups can I do. Having looked around, I discovered that the world record for pull-ups was something near 7,000, and since then it's gone up to 7,300 as I speak. So people are pushing the envelope, and I've decided I'm going to give it a go. 7,500 pull-ups in one day. That's my hope. Right now, as we speak, I can do about 15, but I've got a plan and I'm going to execute. Okay, today's the 13th of November and I finally started training for the pull-ups challenge. 5 minutes on the elliptical trainer, heart rate 120 to 130 beats per minute, which is about the pace I'd ride, for 200 kilometers, and every 5 minutes stopping and doing 5 pull-ups with really good form, but as quickly as possible, and trying to get that turned over and back on the bike within 30 seconds. So I went on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Was starting to struggle actually with the last 2 reps in the last 3, maybe 4 sets. So I was getting to 3 reps, then the 4th and 5th rep were hard for the last 3 or 4 sets, but other than that I've got started. Just for some perspective on this, if I am to break the pull-ups record, I have to do 5 reps every minute for 24 hours, and I'm finding it hard doing 5 reps every 5 minutes. So there's a journey to be had here, but we're not daunted, we're not deterred. This is an experiment. You set the bar high, literally speaking, and you take it from there. You see where you're gonna go. Fail or succeed, there are no losers in this. We learn, and it's gonna be an exciting journey. So I'm excited, but I've got a real journey to go on. I think it's gonna take me 6 months to get in shape at this rate. I'll be training twice a week, so we'll see where it goes. And one session is just my full body normal gym session, where I'll just do my normal 15 pull-ups or whatever that is, and then the other session will be like this on a weekend, where I put in a couple of hours and I keep extending, so that I'm getting bike fit and I'm also getting pull-up fit at the same time. I hope that makes sense.
So this is the kind of bike I ride. It's called an elliptical bike. It's made by a company called Elliptigo. Some people refer to it as a stand-up bike. It's basically an elliptical trainer mechanism in a bicycle. It's very efficient, very much like a road bike, but a bit slower, and it burns a lot more calories. So it's more of a workout. And I've done loads of long distance cycling events on this bike. It's my preferred bike, and it's my preferred form of cardio. So my goals in 2016 were to cover double the distance across Britain on the elliptical bike, as well as to break the pull-ups world record. And this is how I plan to do it. Here's a sample session of the kind of training I was doing at the time. So I'd go for 5 minutes on the elliptical machine in the gym, then I'd get on the pull-ups bar, crank out 5 or 6 reps, then get back on the elliptical trainer again. And I'd do sessions 2 hours long or more, so that I was conditioning myself for pull-ups and I was also conditioning myself to ride the bike. It was a very ambitious goal, but at this point in my life, I was so sure I could do it and I was determined to do it. So this is what my training looked like at the time.
A couple of insights from the session. Once you start doing lots of pull-ups, you really start to feel the muscles that are involved. Normally when I do pull-ups, it's a lat and back exercise, but today I'm starting to notice it at the top muscles of the forearm, as well as the biceps, and even the abs. The abs in the towards the end, the abs were really feeling it. Because I guess your legs are starting to pull up a little as well, and just holding the form. So yeah, the pull-ups seem to be hitting the shoulders, the lats, of course, and the biceps and the forearms. And the biceps and the forearms seem to be what tire first. That's where I started losing the power. My lats were fine because I can do 15 pull-ups. So doing reps of 5 was not too tough for me. It was the arms that got tired first.
Today's the 23rd of November, and I've now done 2 pull-up sessions, and I'm starting to figure this whole thing out. I think I only need 1 session a week. I was thinking of doing pull-ups during my midweek full body workout, but I think that's overkill and it delays my recovery for the main session. So I'm just going to stick with doing my pull-ups on the weekend, doing my main session, and try to build on that. And hopefully in 3 months' time, I'm going to see some improvements. I think it takes a couple of months to really see big changes when you start a new routine. So that's what I'm going to be doing. During the week in my full body program, I will still do back exercises, but not the pull-up. I'll be doing rowing exercises, seated rows, bent over dumbbell rows, that kind of thing. And I'll see how that goes, and I'll rethink further down the line if I think I need more work. But I'm pretty confident 1 session a week is going to do well for me because it gives me enough time to recover. That's a big session. My first session was 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and I did 125 reps of the pull-up in that one. My second session was 2 hours and 28 minutes long, so that's a whole 18 minutes longer, and I did 140 reps in that one. So I'm starting to build up and experiment, but I think I need a good month to settle in for my body and ligaments to get used to the new work, and then another month to start to see little bits of progress, and a third month to feel like I'm really a different person to when I started this. You shouldn't expect to see transformation in your ability in less than 3 months. That's completely unrealistic in something this athletic. So my goal right now is just to get into a holding pattern, survive 3 months without any problems and without any injuries, and then move forward. At the moment, I'm doing really well. I've had bouts of delayed onset muscle soreness after each of the 2 sessions that I've done, but it was severe the first time. It went on for almost a week. The second time, it's pretty much done in about 3 days. So I'm recovering a bit faster. So my body's obviously starting to adapt. Now, what we don't want is to rush it. So taking it really easy, giving the muscles and tendons lots of time to recover. And I'm backing off doing pull-ups during the week, only 1 session a week. And that should get me to where I want to go. I'm going to work on different variations. I tried 6 reps per set, and that was a bit much. I only got up to 90 reps, and then I had to go back down to 5 reps per set. So my body's probably not ready to move yet. I think I'll stick at 5 reps until maybe the second month when I'll start to increase reps. I have to start increasing reps at some stage, but my body needs time to adjust. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. I'm noticing an overall improvement in my upper body workouts. Whereas, I've thought I'd go into a holding pattern and kind of hold back on all my other exercises to give my body the ability to adapt to the shock of all the pull-ups. I'm finding that my whole body's racing ahead, so I'm getting stronger in my shoulder exercises as well and my chest exercises, which is completely unexpected. But I guess that's just due to the acceleration of adaptation as my body's struggling to come to terms with the increased load. I'm still training for endurance as well. In fact, this coming weekend, in a couple of days, I'm doing a 400-kilometer ride with a couple of elliptical riders up north in Preston. We're going to North Yorkshire and back. So we're doing 200 kilometers a day, and we've got to do it in 14 and a half hours. So proper endurance training, preparing for my big rides next year, but also still training for my pull-ups challenge and hoping to see real progress in the next 3 months. There's no point in giving feedback unless something really new happens. So I'm going to hold out and give my next report after I've seen some real changes. At the end of November, I took some time out to explore my cycling training again, and I met up with my close buddies. We went on a 250-mile ride that weekend. It was really tough. There was ice. We went through all kinds of conditions, but it was a heck of an adventure.
Just more feedback. My training's been kind of interrupted by a long distance cycling weekend. I had to go out on a 250-mile expedition on the elliptical bike last weekend, so I didn't do any pull-ups training, but I didn't need to because I think the initial onslaught of volume was too much. I feel like I'm developing tendon stress somewhere in the arms. I'm not sure if it's in the biceps. It's kind of between the biceps and upper forearm. I can't really tell exactly where. I can only feel it when I tense my arm. So I think the volume onslaught has been too much, and what I'm going to do is just back off and then slowly start to build up. So I think what I have to do is actually add on a bit of volume every week. I think I started too high by doing 2 hours straight away. I've got to wait for that inflammation to go down and then start building up again gradually. In the meantime, I'll just continue training for cycling, and then as I progress, I will update. Okay, today's the 27th of May 2019. Nearly 3 years have gone by since this project started, and 2.5 years, since my last update, and I'm only just getting back into training. Lots happened. My world totally changed, and I've been pursuing other things, but I'm back on track now. Back on track pursuing the pull-ups world record, which now stands at 7,600 reps.
So what had changed? What was different? Well, on the 11th of February in 2017, my brother Garai, he's my younger brother, he was 2 years younger than me, and he was training to become a skydiving instructor. Garai died in a skydiving accident on the day that he completed his training to become an instructor. He had to do 500 jumps to complete his instructor course. The day he died, he had just completed the 500 and he was doing number 501 as a celebration, and that's when he lost his life. That's when our family lost him, and it was so much tougher than I'd have imagined. So I had to find a way to find myself again. I changed all my plans, and then to remotivate myself, I directed all those plans towards setting up a charitable foundation in Garai's memory. Here's a news report from the BBC which explained what I did next.
A man from Milton Keynes is hoping to set the world's fastest record for cycling from Land's End to John O'Groats and back, again standing up. Idai Makaya is the elliptico journey this weekend in memory of his brother who died in a skydiving accident. Ben Schofield's been to meet him.
Idai Makaya and his elliptico bike, part cross-trainer, part bicycle, preparing for a 1,700-mile record attempt, all in memory of his brother.
I miss him a lot, and I think what I'm doing will help me work through that. It hit us really, really hard. It's probably the worst day of my entire life. I've never experienced anything as sad or as painful as that. What has happened, and for me this is about finishing his journey.
Ready, out, in, out.
Garai Makaya, an obsessive skydiver, introducing the sport he loves to Botswana. He'd completed the 500 jumps needed for an instructor's license, but on his very next jump he lost control and fell to earth, suffering fatal injuries.
He's always said he was proud of what I did, and it kind of spurred him on as well to do what he was doing, because I introduced lots of people to cycling, especially long distance cycling, and he liked what I was doing, and you know, I think we were doing similar things in our wacky sports.
Idai already holds the record for riding an elliptigo from Land's End to John O'Groats. He now wants the record for the return journey as well, and he says he's going to cycle 150 miles a day for 11 days straight, and each of those days is going to feel much longer than the one before.
These bikes were originally designed to help runners to train without impact.
The ride will be Idai's longest on the elliptigo. He's asking others to join in by cycling their longest ride, and is hoping to raise money for a documentary about his brother's skydiving legacy. Ben Schofield, BBC Look East in Milton Keynes.
Good luck to him. Now,
well, a slight change of scenery now, because earlier this month we introduced you to a Milton Keynes man who wanted to set a new Guinness World Record for riding from Land's End to John O'Groats. But what made Idai Makaya different is that he wanted to go there and back again in just 11 days, and he wanted to do it on an elliptocycle. Now, I'm very pleased to say that he managed that challenge, but if you're wondering what on earth an elliptocycle is, take a look at this. Here he comes. It is essentially a cross-trainer on wheels. Idai, thank you so much for joining us on Look East tonight, and huge congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I have to look at the numbers here because they're staggering. You cycled 1,767 miles, so about 150 miles a day, in a 30-degree heat. How did you do it?
To be honest, I don't know. It was very difficult. It was extremely hot. The roads were melting. We couldn't keep up with the hydration. Some of the guys who were joining us to ride for a couple of hours drank, you know, a litre an hour as they were riding with us. So I'm not sure how I did it.
But no doubt the support was absolutely crucial for you, having your friends and other people there.
Absolutely. Support was everything. We had lots of friends, lots of cyclists coming to join us, even people I didn't know. But I also had really close friends who were supporting me. A lady called Kim, who was the wife of my friend Alan, who does a lot of my rides with me, and he did this whole ride with me. So I was never alone, not for 1 minute.
I hope he's not rethinking that friendship after this momentous journey.
I have a feeling we may not visit each other again.
We should say this wasn't just about setting a record for you. You did this ride in memory of your brother. Just tell us why.
Yes, my brother passed away in February last year in a skydiving event. It was really unfortunate. It was one of the most tragic things I've ever experienced personally, and cycling is probably the only way of communication I have, in terms of that's my community, that's what I do. So I decided to do a cycling challenge to help spread word about a project that I'm doing in memory of my brother, and to help raise funds for that project as well. And that's the main reason that I did this challenge and world record.
And that's about creating some kind of film.
That's right. It's a film about the skydiving community that my brother Garai set up, but also a film that's intended to raise funds for the charities that he used to work with through his skydiving.
Well, it's an amazing thing you've done. I want to ask you about the elliptocycle. I'm just going to come round here for a second. I said like a cross-trainer on wheels. That's not offensive, is it? That's what it is.
Not at all. This is a cross-trainer on wheels designed to give a supported running action. So these bikes are used generally for marathon running training. People who ride these bikes are trying to get a running without impact type workout. So it is a fitness bike, but it's still cycling, it's still a bike, and it's very comfortable for long distances.
I'm so desperate to have a go, but in these heels and without a risk assessment, I'm sure there's no way I could. Maybe later, if you hang around for after the programme. You are very used to riding this thing. I've got to ask though, after all of those miles, how are your feet, Idai?
You know, it's amazing. My feet are actually okay. My feet didn't suffer. I was surprised, because your feet can suffer if you're standing for 15 hours a day, but my feet were okay. I did have a foam roller type thing that I used to roll under my feet every evening after 15 hours of riding, and that probably helped do the trick.
I get a feeling this won't be your last challenge. I really, really hope we meet you again when you're doing the next one. For now, though, huge congratulations. No doubt your brother would be hugely proud. Thank you. Well, it's been a lovely day at the BBC HQ in Cambridge today. Let's find out what the forecast is in store. Here's Alex.
Since my last update, my weight's gone down by 5 kilograms. I'm now 75 kilos. I am a lot fitter on my bike. In the gym, I'm a bit fitter as well. I've started doing what they call EMS training, that's electric muscle stimulation.
It's easier to just explain this in pictures. So this is what an electric muscle stimulation session looks like. In this session, I'm being trained by my colleague Alistair in the fitness studio using an electric muscle stimulation outfit. It makes your muscles contract a lot harder than they normally can. It also allows you to recruit more muscle fibers than you naturally can. So with electric muscle stimulation, not only are you recruiting a higher percentage of your muscle fibers, but you're also training every single muscle on your body at the same time. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So a 20-minute session is probably going to be the toughest session you do when you do EMS. And for me, to this day, my EMS training sessions are definitely the toughest I do. They're tougher than only the biggest pull-ups or chin-up sessions. There's no other kind of training that can hit you as hard as an EMS session if you do it properly.
Good job, keep pushing. You ready for more, Idai? Keep pushing. 10. Still going up. 2 more impulses to go. Say no if you can't go anymore. No if you can't go anymore.
It has revolutionized my physique, and if you compare my body to what it looked like when I did my last update, I think you can see the difference.
My pull-ups training had begun to evolve as well. So instead of going on the elliptical trainer between sets, I was now keeping the breaks really short and I was just doing more volume. I was also aiming for quite high reps at this point, which I was later to find, this is an important part of the preconditioning. You've got to learn to do lots of pull-ups. So I was trying to build up to my max of 20 again, which I had reached in 2016. I hadn't been working that hard on pull-ups for the years that ensued since my brother died, but I started working on building back up to 20 so that I could really start training for the world record. And this here is just an example of some of those early sessions.
Today's the 21st of June. I've been training now in my pull-ups regime for more than a month. I've just done my 14th session in the gym and I'm feeling great. I hit all my numbers. I did 2 warm-up sets of 5 reps of pull-ups, and then I did 13 reps and then 10 reps and then 10 reps and then another 13 reps and then 3 more sets of 10 reps, which is good because every week I seem to go up a rep, just about. Still a long way to go.
Once I was able to reach 20 reps again, I realized that I really had to start getting faster and more efficient. So I started increasing the volume of sessions by doing many sets of lower reps. And that's how you attack doing thousands and thousands of pull-ups. You can see my numbers went up all the way to 1,000.
Okay, we're getting started. 1,100 reps. Let's see how long it's going to take us. We're doing this in the washing room, which is basically the back room at Body Street, my personal training studio. That's where I'm training from now on. It's a small room. There's not much stimulus apart from watching videos on my phone. We need to get into the mindset. This is going to be tough. Got to get used to not making it a holiday camp, right? So we start warming up 1 rep at a time. So I do 1 rep, wait about 50 seconds, then I do 2 reps, wait about 50 seconds, then I do 3 reps, wait about 50 seconds, and I keep going until I'm at 5 reps. And then from there, I just do 5 reps every minute until the warm-up is taken 10 minutes, then I'm ready to train. That's how I go. That's 144. Today I'm feeling stronger than I've ever felt before in training. Fantastic. That's 1,100 reps in 2 hours, 49 minutes. I think I deserve a break.
Now that I was working on efficiency, I hadn't totally abandoned trying to increase reps. So at the end of every big session, I'd still go out and try to do a high rep set, just one high rep set, at least 10 reps. And that would keep my general overall conditioning and strength, so that I wasn't just working on endurance. It would also make the session count for more because, I was doing those 10 reps or more at the end of a big session of 1,000 reps.
$439 reps in 1 hour. 10 reps at the end. Today's the 12th of October and we are getting closer and closer to my world record attempt. I'm hoping to do this in a month's time, so I don't have a lot of time remaining. We're really talking 1 month, and of that 1 month, the last 2 weekends will be tapering, so I've got 2 more weeks of training left. Tomorrow I'm going to attempt 1,400 reps, and I'm going to do it probably at a slower tempo, just to do a practice for a world record attempt, just to see what it feels like going at my planned pace for the world record attempt for a couple of hours. I'm hoping to do 3.5 hours thereabouts for 1,400 reps, which is not really that much. It's about 6 reps a minute or so, maybe less, but it's just to practice my nutrition, because up till now all my sessions up till 1,250 reps have been fasted. So I want to break the fast now and do a practice run with nutrition, because you can't go 24 hours with no nutrition. I can train fasted to intensify my training and to make myself mentally stronger and to make my body better at storing nutrients and processing nutrients and developing its energy systems. So when it comes to the actual record attempt, I need to be flooded with sugar, flooded with food, keeping the nutrition going. So that's my plan. I'm going to give that a practice run tomorrow, 5 a.m. in the morning, so that my whole day is not wasted. Hopefully I'm not going to sleep the rest of the day, but yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to give it my all, and I'm hoping it's not going to be a hard session, because even though it's 1,400 reps, which is the highest I've ever done, it's at the slowest pace I've ever trained at. Well, it's at the slowest pace I'll have trained at in the last 2 months, because in the last 2 months my pace has always been 7 reps per minute, there or thereabouts, except in my recovery sessions where I might do 500, 400 reps, but I don't feel maxed out. But when I'm doing my weekend sessions, the 1,000 rep plus sessions, I've always been going at 6 to 7 reps per minute. My last week was more than 7 reps per minute. So I did 1,250 reps in about 3 hours. So 3 hours is the longest I've trained for. Tomorrow I'm hoping to train for longer than that. I'm hoping to train for 3 to 4 hours, and just to see what it's like, but going at a more easy pace, higher reps, and feeding myself. So let's see how that goes. It's going to be interesting. So today is the 13th of October. The time at the moment is 20 past 5 a.m. and I'm about to go out for my 1,400 rep session, but this will be my first fuel session. So I'm going to be using fuel source, a whole food source, and I'm going to be taking quite a few calories in during this session. This is before the session, during, and then after the session I will be fueling. So that's going to be the first time I've ever done that. I want to see what effect that has on how sustainable the session feels and how good I feel. So that's what I'll be doing. It's going to be also the earliest session I've ever done, so I haven't even hydrated. Normally I drink this much water before I do anything in the day. Right now I'm only on 1 glass. I've had my collagen supplements. I take alpha collagen every day. It's supposed to be the most bioavailable form of collagen available, so that's why I've been using it. And let's see how today shapes up. Let's see how 1,400 reps feels. We'll start at 6 reps per minute and see if we can sustain that comfortably, because that's got to be the plan for the record attempt. Okay, because today's a special early morning session, we'll be having a coffee in between reps. But I'll also be using my whole food fuel. And what I'm about to do now is just show you how I wrap my hands. So this here is physiotherapy tape, and this here is just normal duct tape that people use for fixing pipes and stuff. It's very, very durable. And these are the two things that I use for my hands. So now I've got the glove on, my hand is protected, and there's no cushioning at all. It's just about friction. This glove's got 2 layers, so there's no friction, and this also protects against friction. So I've got 3 layers plus the tape underneath at the bottom, so that's 4 layers to protect from friction, although the 2 bottom layers don't move, so it's really 3 layers. Hope that makes sense. Now let's go and crush 1,400 reps after doing the other hand.
I recall from this time there's something cool about getting started at 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, training in the fitness studio, no one outside, everyone asleep, and you know you're doing something crazy like this. So by this stage now, I was really pushing myself, and I would always start by warming up in the normal way. Then I'd go for 10 or more reps, a couple of sets of 10 reps or more. So just like a normal calisthenics workout. Then when that was done, I'd go for the big workout, 1,400. So when I did that 1,400, I'd actually done about 100 warm-ups.
These blisters aren't great. My hands are cramping as well. So, you know, it's not encouraging after 1,400 reps and thinking that you've got to do another 6,200 to get to the record. But, you know, it was a decent session. I know this is a mind game. I've just got to get the pacing and the breaks right.
This back office was a bit of a dungeon, so as I started to taper towards my record attempt, I actually started training in the main studio. And this was my final session, just 500 reps, just getting ready.
I'm trying something new. I know there are only 2 weeks left before the world record attempt, but these are weightlifting gloves with straps. I think the strap is really just to keep the glove in place. It's not really to improve your lifting. But as you can see, these ones here have a cushion, which is something new to me, and they've got a very good grip on my new red bar, so they don't slip. So tomorrow I'm going to be using them for 1,000 pull-ups in a world record simulation, and we're hoping that's going to go well. As you can see, I've now got my forearm braces on both arms. That's because on Thursday, for some reason, my left elbow started developing tendinitis. It became quite sore. But today's Saturday, it's already recovered, so I recovered very quickly after my sessions, but there was a discomfort in this elbow. I've had this before in both my elbows. These braces really make a difference. So I'll be wearing them for the first time, wearing 2 when I do my training. So everything's going to be new tomorrow, but we're praying for the best. I'm going to use various rep ranges. I still haven't decided fully on my rep range. At the moment, I'm planning to go with 2 reps every 19 seconds. But I know that 3 reps every 24 seconds seems to work as well. And ideally, I'd like to do 1 rep every 10 seconds. I suspect that's the best way if I can get on and off the bar quick enough. Tomorrow we find out.
I went out and started testing the different rep ranges in my warm-up. I discovered 3 reps every 24 seconds or 2 reps every 19 seconds are definitely the best for me. That's when I'm at my most efficient.
1,000 reps, 2 hours, 47 minutes. That's my last full training session before the record attempt on the 16th of November. After this, it's just active rest.
I want to thank everyone who's got me here.
What can I say? The new gloves were perfect. The new gloves worked absolutely perfectly. The session went brilliantly. I'm just wrapping up now. I've got to unscrew the pull-ups bar from the ground there. This is the first time I've used the pull-up bar screwed into the ground. It improved my efficiency by about 20 or 30%. So exactly what we were hoping. I was actually better today than I've ever been before because the bar is rooted to the ground and it doesn't rock. So guys, things are on plan now. This was a good session. I really think that I've got a chance, God willing. It was still hard. 1,000 reps is 1,000 reps, but I felt like I could keep going, guys. I feel like I've got a formula here. 2 reps every 19 seconds. I think I can do that all day long, but God will decide.
I decided a while before doing this that I was going to attempt the record on my brother's birthday. It was my way of celebrating his birthday and of passing his birthday. However, it only gave me 5 months of solid hard training, and then I was into the taper phase. So I think I had about 5.5 months of training before taking on the world record. So this is world record day. I arrived on the day. I was nervous as anything. I came in and just got into my warm-up routine to just kind of stabilize my mind, just doing the occasional pull-up here and there, talking to friends. Lots of people had turned out to wish me well. It made me feel good. My wife was there. You can see her behind. My friend Tom, he's just the guy under the clock there. He'd come all the way in from Holland. We used to train together before I did the double end-to-end, and he even came and he rode both ways across Britain with me. He came all the way in from Holland and rode both. He rode one way across Britain with me. I rode both ways. He rode one way. He was on his road bike. I was on my stand-up bike. But he's one of the guys that's always turned out for me. Just like everyone in this room, there's so many people in there that have really, really turned out for me in the last few years. And without them, none of the things that I've done would have been possible. Especially my wife and my children, but also my colleagues, Alistair and Phil, who are standing there, and many of my clients who come to Body Street Fitness Studio. So many of them have helped me in these challenges, and I really appreciate that. But this was the beginning of the challenge, so we all got together, posed for a photo. The warm-up was over. The session was due to start at 2 p.m. It had been delayed because of a problem routing the chin-up bar to the ground. But here we are, just getting ready for the startup phase, and Phil is going to do it as soon as it hits 2 o'clock. They did the countdown, and then the count was, the actual real count was going to start. So I just gave Ivy a hug. She wished me well, and everyone was ready to do their bit. I was ready to do my bit. I took off the t-shirt because it was going to be really hot. One thing I found with pull-ups training is that you get hot really quickly. It's worse than running, but it's indoors. There's no wind, so that was something that I hadn't yet figured out. And it was definitely going to be a factor in this record attempt. So this was my first rep. Here we go. The world record attempt had started. 2 every 19 seconds for 24 hours. We were in business. These were the counting sheets that the volunteers were using. They were designed by my friend Stu. He's a very bright guy, as you can see, and they're really, really effective, really efficient, really easy to follow, and really precise, because Guinness World Records are sticklers for detail when it comes to this sort of thing. But now, here I am. It's 17 hours remaining, 17 and a half hours remaining, so I'd obviously been at it for, 7 hours now, and I was at 2,264 reps. You can see I was feeling exhausted. I felt like a boxer who's been sparring for hundreds and hundreds of rounds. I was just exhausted. I was feeling cramps. My form was falling apart. By now, this is obviously personal best territory. I'd never done more than 1,600, so this was the highest number of reps I'd done. It was getting late into the night. My shoulder was starting to get sore at this stage as well. It was just a weird thing. It was only a dull ache. It wasn't a sharp ache like a tear. It was just something sore and tight. I had to keep on stretching, and I was out of breath a lot of the time, and I was just sweating profusely, and I think that was causing me to get the cramps because I was losing electrolytes. I did have salt tablets, but for some reason I forgot to take them. Maybe the nervousness or the tension. So these were tough times. I've got tough memories from this. But I just kept going. I just kept going. I noticed that if I just took a short break, like longer than 19 seconds, maybe 40 seconds, I'd bounce back. So as you can see here, you know, I was still plowing on. I was at 2,390, getting to 2,400. It was now quite late, and I was really feeling it. I was still getting over the bar. The angle of this camera was a bit low, so it doesn't show how high I was going over the bar, but I was still getting over the bar quite comfortably. But I was suffering. I was really suffering at this stage.
Right up, big man. Look at that man go. Unbelievable.
As I was reaching 2,800, I'd been going at it now for 10 hours, and this is where the real trouble started. The shoulder started to get quite bad. It was still temperamental on and off, but when it got bad I couldn't pull hard, and I you can see my form is really all over the place here, so I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. But in endurance, you know, you have ups and downs, and I'd never done anything like this before, so even though I was starting to get worried, I knew I had to just keep going. You know, you have to keep going till you can't go anymore, otherwise you don't really know whether you're quitting or failing in a massive endurance event. And I've done many massive endurance events, and this is how it is. There's often times when it's touch and go. You don't know if you can keep going, you don't know if you can make it, but you just keep going, because sometimes you recover, you come back, you're like a phoenix, you rise from the flames. And that's what I was hoping for here, and that's what all the guys were hoping for here. But it was hard to say whether it was happening. I was just getting worse and worse. My form was getting terrible at this stage. Just looking back at the videos here, I'm hitting 3,000 reps with 15 hours remaining. So that's probably 9 hours now. I'd hit 3,000 reps in 9 hours. So I was doing well, but and I was on course, but I was struggling, and it was midnight, and you know, the guys were trying to keep me going by coming in. You can see family members kept popping in. It was midnight. They were helping me celebrate some of the landmarks, but you're on your own when you're on that bar. Nobody can help you up on that bar. And at midnight, my body clock was also shutting down, so I was really suffering.
Good.
Woo! At this point, it has now become a war of attrition. We're past midnight. My body clock's shutting down. I'm feeling sleepy, like falling asleep on my feet almost. I'm still pulling up. I'm on 3,300 here, just fighting. But I wasn't doing great anymore. I was exhausted. When I came off the bar, I had to lean on it. I was like a boxer who's done hundreds and hundreds of rounds. I used to be a kickboxer, so I know that feeling. Now this is that feeling times 100. Sometimes I just had to lie down because I was so tired, but it was making me cold. And this is where my real trouble started, because my muscles were more likely to tear when my body temperature went down. You can see I'm now wearing a t-shirt because I wasn't hot enough anymore, so I had to wear the t-shirt to stay warm. And that's when my shoulder injury started getting really bad. It was like the muscles were tearing. They were like shearing. They just felt dry, and everything was hardening up. I felt like I was made of wood. And I was starting to drop off record pace. Between 10 hours and 12 hours, I didn't do very well. I hardly did any reps at all. So when I was at 10 hours, I was bang on my schedule. But by the time I was at 11 hours, I was probably falling behind pace. No friendly faces, no cheers, nothing could really get me into it now. But I did celebrate halfway as a landmark. But I knew in my mind that this was the danger zone, because I know from endurance that however you feel at halfway is how you're going to feel for the rest of the event. And if this is how I was going to feel for the next 12 hours, I already knew I wasn't going to make it.
Amazing. And we're all still here at 2 a.m. in the morning.
This is my friend Tom helping me wrap my hands again. Amazingly, the new gloves I started using just 2 weeks before the challenge were better than any of the gloves I'd used in the whole 5.5 months of training. And I got through that first 12 hours without any problems. But inevitably, with bad form, it starts to go through, the pressure starts to go through, and I was starting to get blisters on my hands now, and the skin was starting to peel off. Here we were at 3,800 reps, and that's when I knew it was time to call it. I sent a message to my wife on my phone. I thanked the team for their help, and I sent out a message to all the people who were following on the live video stream.
On my own. It's just not going to happen. My shoulder's now too injured, and I just probably wasn't fit enough. But you know, we did our best. I did it for my brother. I'd never think of a better way to spend his birthday. This is the most appropriate way to spend his birthday. I wanted to suffer. I trained for 5.5 months to suffer on his birthday because that's how it needs to be for me. I will never be able to thank these guys for what they've done. I'll never be able to thank you guys who've supported this, you guys who've donated money to this. It ends here now. I'm not going to ask anybody for anything. This is where it ends. Everyone's done what they can for me, and you've honored my brother, and this is where it ends, and I thank everybody.
Woo! Well done, Idai. Well done, man.
Okay, that's it, guys.
Guys, that's how it ended. 3,856 pull-ups completed in 14 hours. My shoulder was injured and my body was wrecked. I couldn't do any real exercise for a month after this, but I knew I couldn't leave it there. So a couple of months passed, and I set myself on a new course. The world totally changed with the coronavirus pandemic, but my world didn't change, in that I still had unfinished business on the bar. Okay, so the pull-ups world record attempt was unsuccessful. I was absolutely taken to my limits on the day, but I think in synopsis, I don't feel like I did enough training. I do think that training actually came into it. I think 5.5 months training to take on, probably as tough an endurance fitness challenge as any that exists in the world is not enough. 5.5 months is not enough training to run a marathon, let alone the world record for pull-ups. The challenge we have now is that my shoulder's been injured. Well, it's probably my pectoral tendon, but whatever holds the shoulder in, it's been injured from all the pulling up and down, and the muscles fatiguing were causing the arm not to track properly, I believe. But yeah, I've got that injury, and I took a month off, and then I returned to training, and it wasn't the same. There was a tightness here, so I started trying to find ways to rehab it, and I found that what seems to be working quite well to loosen up the tissues here is doing lots of push-ups and doing chin-ups. So a pull-up you hold like that. Chin-ups is this way. It's a reverse grip pull-up. So I'm finding that I can do lots of reverse grip pull-ups. So my training has been a mix of standard pull-ups and chin-ups. And that's how I've been trying to rehab at the moment. It's looking like whenever I try to push up the reps, anywhere near 800 or past on pull-ups, my shoulder doesn't like it. However, on chin-ups, I've been able to go now up to 1,000 and past 1,000 reps, up to 1,300 reps, in fact. So in chin-ups, I'm reaching close to the fitness level I had when I attempted the pull-up world record attempt. I must make it clear, though, that I've never done chin-ups in my life. I started doing chin-ups just before Christmas 2019, when I resumed training after taking a month off after the pull-ups world record attempt. And I find chin-ups very difficult. It took me months just to get comfortable holding my arms like this. I just didn't have that pronation flexibility to get flat on the bar. My arms were always like this. I could do this, but this was really hard. And that started causing me a lot of tightness and tension here, because just from that, I've never been comfortable with that motion. I've never done chin-ups in my life. So I don't think I can ever be as good at chin-ups as I am at pull-ups. Even now, there was a time I actually stopped in February, March. I just stopped doing pull-ups completely. I only did chin-ups. April, I went back to doing pull-ups again. I could still do more pull-ups than chin-ups. I could at a faster rate. It's just once you get to the high numbers like 800 and stuff, the pull-ups start becoming uncomfortable on my shoulder. But for low numbers, I can cruise at maybe 8 pull-ups a minute quite easily. I could never do that with chin-ups. Chin-ups are much slower. In normal training, I'm not going faster than 6 a minute, which is the pace I used for the whole pull-ups world record. I can't even sustain that for, past 1300 on the chin-ups at the moment. But I'm getting better, and I'm fine-tuning my technique so that the tightness in the arms and that inner elbow part is gone now. I spent this year working on anti-inflammatory remedies. I'm trying anything to do with anti-inflammation so that I can recover faster, because I find when you do 1,000 chin-ups or 1,000 pull-ups or whatever it is, there's a lot of inflammation in your body, and you can feel it, and it's really it slows your recovery, and it also makes it spaces out how often you can train. I'm only training twice a week because that's all my body can handle. Pull-ups on a Thursday, chin-ups on a Sunday. That's how I'm training. And then the other training I do is just one full body session, which is the EMS training plus some upper body dumbbell circuit training. I do that all in one day, 20 minutes of EMS, and I follow that immediately with dumbbell training for 20 minutes. And that's it. That's my full body workout, because I've got to keep my body balanced, got to work my legs. But with the legs, I only do the EMS training for the legs. EMS is very effective for the legs, but it doesn't build bodybuilder type bulk. EMS is like body weight training. It will never make you massive. It just makes you strong and gives you a lot of endurance, but it'll never make you big. And that's what I need. I just don't need more weight. But speaking of weight, it's now June 2020, and my weight is now, in the mornings when I wake up, 78 kilos, which is quite a bit above where it was last year when I did the pull-ups world record attempt. When I did the pull-ups world record attempt, my waking weight was 75 kilos. So my weight has gone up by 3 kilos. I don't think it's fat. I just seem to be getting more muscular, but that's not really helpful for what I'm trying to do. So I am starting to pay attention now to my eating and trying to only eat as much as I need to, rather than what I want to eat, because what I've found with this high volume training is that it makes you want to eat. It compels you to eat, especially carbs. It makes me want to eat porridge all the time. I'm almost addicted to oats porridge now, but that's not a new thing. But the training that has made it worse. So the other thing I'm doing, I was mentioning anti-inflammatories. I'm taking balance oil. It balances the omega-3 to omega-6 in your blood, because most people, and we're talking 95% of people living in the Western world, are severely imbalanced when it comes to omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. And the stuff I'm using, it should get your ratio down to the World Health Organization kind of level within 3 months, and hopefully that's going to allow me to just do more and more training. So I'll keep feeding back on that. There's no date for my next event, and I'm thinking that my next event is going to be the chin-ups world record, not the pull-ups world record, because I don't seem to be able to shake this shoulder problem, this pectoral tendon shoulder problem that I have with pull-ups now, ever since it got injured during the event. I've just not been able to shake it off. I can't seem to do more than 1,000 pull-ups without the shoulder getting bad. But 600 pull-ups, no problem. 600 pull-ups, I can do that twice a week ad infinitum, and I have no problem. It's when I go towards 800 that the shoulder starts playing up. With chin-ups, I don't get the shoulder problem. Sometimes I have, but I've noticed it's to do with my hand placement. So the wider my hands are, the less the shoulder seems to be stressed. It's when I bring my hands close and I do lots of reps with my hands close that the shoulder might act up. So I've been keeping my grip apart and it's working. So I think that maybe it's time to challenge the chin-ups world record instead of the pull-ups world record. And that's what I should be doing to promote my charitable foundation and documentary film project. So the chin-ups world record is 5,094 reps. But for me, it's probably harder than trying to do 7,600 pull-ups, because I just find chin-ups are just not as efficient. The movement is not as efficient. I just can't do 8 chin-ups a minute like I used to do with my pull-ups training. I just can't. My body won't let me. My body's not good with chin-ups. It's a new exercise to me. It is related to pull-ups, definitely. It's similar muscles used, but it's that grip thing. It puts you in a weak position. It's unnatural, and your grip is not as strong when you're in this position as it is when you're in this position. Well, I shouldn't say yours. I should say mine, because that's my problem. So that's what I'm doing. I'm pursuing the chin-ups world record. So let's talk about training. I started training in the back office at the fitness studio, just like I was before. But then, back then I was quite weak. I was just getting away with 2 reps, and I was doing 2 reps literally, I think, every 30 seconds at this point. But then training had to move home when the coronavirus hit. So in the backyard, but not quite in the backyard, in the garage, is where I started training properly. And as you can see, it was pretty brutal. It got really hot in there. You can see this is April. I wasn't very strong yet, and my form was still not fully balanced as I got tired. So as I did more reps, you can see that I started to kind of skew to one side, meaning that injury probably wasn't 100%. And I was also looking at video clips for the documentary that I'm making about my brother. So this was a brilliant opportunity for me to start looking through more than 120 hours of film footage. I was spending hours in the garage training, and it gave me an opportunity to look at this footage. No one else could do that for me. So I really appreciate this time in my life for being able to do that. It's like I spent loads of weekends with my brother during this training, and I took my training past 1,000 chin-ups in the garage. This was my first 1,000 rep session. As you can see, my form was just not as powerful as it used to be when I used to do pull-ups, but I was doing thousands. I was doing 1,000 reps, so I was there or thereabouts. I could see the potential in all of this, and I was just working harder and harder and trying to get better and better. And it took me 3 hours 38 minutes to do 1,000, which is much slower than I was going when I did the 3,856 pull-ups. And as you can see, my right shoulder always started to play up as I got tired, as I got towards 1,000. But in May, notice how much more powerful I'm looking now. I was still doing 1,000 reps there or thereabouts. That was about my limit around this time. But notice, look, in June, how powerful I am now. Now I was becoming more the kind of machine that I was looking for. I was starting to really pull. My body was starting to feel like it had no weight. I was really, really strong, and I was doing chin-ups like I'd done them all my life. And I kept on going with all my training, as you can see. Flexibility. After my EMS training, I'd always hit my flexibility. And, for a 46-year-old guy, this is not bad flexibility. I stretched my whole body, but especially my upper body. Upper body stretching is so important when you're doing lots and lots of chin-ups and lots of pull-ups. But your whole body stiffens up when you're doing ultra endurance. So as you can see, I was working on my lower body. I was at my best in strength, in flexibility, and in endurance. And I was feeling really confident at this stage about my prospects. I was in really good shape. I was riding my bike, I was stretching, I was doing EMS training, and I was doing loads of chin-ups. And a couple of pull-ups as well.
So this is one of my most important stretches. If you can see what my hand is doing on the table, flatten the palm against the table and then pull back a bit and just hold that for the time it takes to breathe 30 times. That's one of the most important stretches that I do. The other one that I do that's really important is this one. You hold the arm locked straight and you pull. So these are stretches for tennis and golfer's elbow. They rehab tennis and golfer's elbow, but they also prevent tennis and golfer's elbow. And these are the exercises that I used to strengthen my elbow joints and to stop my elbow tendons from acting up. It's all about stretching the forearms. This one protects you from the injuries that can be caused by pull-ups, and that one protects you from the injuries that can be caused by chin-ups. I've been training at 7 reps per minute and doing 1,000 reps, so this pace feels quite easy and my body's recovering fast enough. I'm totally fasted, so I've not eaten anything. It's 5 p.m. and I've almost done 1,400 chin-ups. So I think that the strategy is right. Still feeling great, and we're gonna take this on like it's a bicycle record. I'm now over 1,400 and I've still got 3 minutes to go. I think the experiment has been a success.
My pull-ups training was a supplement to my chin-ups training to stop me getting injured. I found that if I did pull-ups instead of chin-ups twice a week, I had less problems with my joints. So I was using the same muscles but in different ways. So the pull-ups boosted my ability to do more chin-ups, but I couldn't do too many. 500 was the safe number of pull-ups for me, because if I started going over 500, I started feeling more injury prone. As you can see in this series of videos here, I started to really work on my last rep after doing the 500 pull-ups. I'd always do one maximum set, and initially I started on 10 reps. Now we're moving into the second week, and you can see me working out here. I was also doing some dead hanging during the set, just to see what effect it would have on my fatigue, and trust me, it really amped up the fatigue. It made me more tired. But the second week I was already up to 12 reps. That's what I was doing here. If you count, I got up to 12 with I think 2 or 3 dead hangs in there. And then the third week, this is where things started to get really interesting. I was going now up to 15. So this is after doing 500 pull-ups. I do 500 pull-ups with strict form, 7 reps per minute. And then at the end of the session, I'd always go for a maximum set and see how many I could go. I didn't care about the form. You can see my form is really horrible here. But the key was just to see how many I could do without letting go of the bar. Even with bad form, I used to call it CrossFit form, because it was quite scrappy. But it was a nice challenge and just something for me to look forward to each week, knowing that I'm getting stronger. So I got up to about 14 here, although I don't think the last rep really counted. But the next week I really wanted to make up for that. So I came in and I went for it. I made sure I focused. I had a good grip, and then I went for it. I blasted out 10 before I even, got into the struggle zone and started the dead hanging. I must say, when I got to 10, I didn't feel like going on, because 10 is quite fatiguing when you've done 500 reps. But I just kept working on it, and as you can see here, I was able to stay strong despite the dead hangs, and I wasn't doing the dead hangs for a long time, but I was just doing it long enough for my muscles to slightly refresh and do another rep and see how far I could go. So I got up to 15.
Can we do 15?
And this was only 3 weeks out now from the world record attempt, so I wasn't going to have many opportunities. to
Don't
do
know if that
more
counts.
reps in my last set.
Okay, this is my final pull-up session before the chin-ups world record attempt on the 25th of September, which is in exactly 8 days from now. Let's go.
So this was my final hard pull-up session that I was going to do before the actual chin-ups world record attempt. And I did enjoy this kind of training because it's a nice challenge, and you know, every week I could see myself improving, and these improvements were definitely carrying over into my chin-up strength, because the pull-ups make your arms stronger, they make your lats stronger as well. So that's the advantage of it. I think chin-ups make your
smashed my
chest
head on the
stronger and your abs stronger and the middle back stronger, and yeah, they work more on your arms than pull-ups, but the pull-ups do strengthen you in a different way, and I think that all this strength was really necessary for what I was trying to do. So this was my last one, and it was really tough, but in a fun way. I always looked forward to this part. I'd do my 500 pull-ups, then I'd go for my max set, and I loved my max sets.
Looks like
That
it's
was the
just gonna be
funnest part of the
18 today.
workout.
Whew.
Notice the efficiency of my form here compared to a few months before during the lockdown, how strained my form used to be. My chin-ups form now, you can see, is really efficient. That's the kind of form that can take you all the way to 5,000 reps. Well, that's what I was hoping anyway.
It's going to be really tough, but I really believe I can do this. I've really put a lot into it. I'm really prepared, and I've got a strategy that I think can really work.
Well, definitely this form took me comfortably up to 1,825 reps. That's 1,825 in a single session. I was going at a faster pace than record pace, so it was very strenuous, especially mentally. But my form didn't suffer. But I knew that definitely I had to keep my pace low during the world record attempt. Another thing that I was doing religiously around this time was riding my elliptical bike. I found that bike rides were really useful for me to get my body to recover after a session. And sometimes I'd ride even after doing 1,500 chin-ups. Other times I'd ride the next day. It didn't really matter. As long as I did a ride the day after or the day of the actual chin-ups or pull-up session, I found it really speeded up my recovery. So riding was playing a part, but I was keeping my rides just to 1 hour long. I wasn't doing the mega rides that I used to do in years past.
Okay, that's 1,380. I'm going for 1,400 reps. So that's taken me 3 hours and 55 minutes. I finally improved my gloves. So I've got 3 sets of gloves on, 3 straps. 1, 2, and 3, these sailing gloves. And that's cutting down the friction a lot and giving me a much more enduring grip. I was doing 4 reps every 34 seconds, so that's 7 reps a minute for the first 1,100. And then I went to 3 reps every 28 seconds. I've also been watching the David Blaine documentary Ascension, which is a skydiving documentary like the one I'm raising funds for. So please check out the link in this post and see what this is all about. I'm going for the chin-ups world record on the 25th of September.
I discovered when I moved my training into the fitness studio that without the ceiling to manage my height, I couldn't get the height of my chin-ups right, and I was flying way too high above the bar, wasting energy. So this was going to be the main challenge for the world record attempt, keeping my head down, keeping the chin-ups lower. And the team were briefed and were prepared to help me so that I'll do that. But we didn't actually practice it. I chose the 25th of September for my world record attempt because that was my mother's 70th birthday, and I just needed that impetus, just like I did the pull-ups world record attempt on Garai's birthday. As you can see in these pictures, my team did come up with a solution for not exceeding the bar. We put up this rig with these rulers with a string 20 centimeters above the bar, and we'd use that to count. So whenever my chin touched that string, it was a full count, and we knew that I was 20 centimeters above the bar. And that made it easy to see. It made it easy for the world record verification. And, it solved the problem. We only practiced that in my warm-up before the world record attempt because we didn't realize that there was this spatial awareness problem until I started training in this fitness studio, which had such a high ceiling. For pull-ups, it wasn't a problem. I didn't have a problem with controlling the height, but for chin-ups, it was very different. So this was my warm-up. I warmed up for the world record attempt exactly the way I warmed up for all my training sessions in 2020. I used this resistance band, stuck my foot in it, it halved my weight or whatever, and it just allowed me to crank out 50 reps really light, and then I was ready to train. So warming up is critical, guys, and it really saved me from injury, I think. So as you can see, the time there was just before 10:30 in the morning on Friday, the 25th of September 2020. Our plan was to start the world record attempt exactly at 10:30 on the 25th and to finish exactly at 10:30 on the 26th. So this is my colleague Phil getting ready for the countdown. Guinness World Records require that. So he has officially kicked it off. There's no sound here because we didn't want to violate copyright on music and audiobooks. So the live video stream had no sound. But this allows me to narrate what was happening. And as you can see, it was smooth sailing. It was a beautiful, bright day. I got through 1,000 reps feeling really comfortable. I was pacing myself well, and I was feeling good. This was the best I'd ever felt in a chin-up session, but that's because I was going slower than I normally went. And as you can see, we just kept working away at it. The witnesses were doing the counting. We had the same kind of rep sheets, all the same prep we used before. That's my friend Tim, who took a lot of these photos that are used in this film. He did the official photography. He's a great photographer. He's a professional photographer. This here is a lady from ITV who was interviewing me at about 1,600 reps. It was a live interview, so this was on live TV. And I think some of my friends back home were recording the interview. So I'll show you what they were seeing just now, but this is how it looked from my perspective. They were talking to me between sets, and I just kind of tried to go at a pace that would allow me to talk while still staying on schedule. I was comfortably on my schedule at this stage, and I was feeling good. So because this is a fundraising event, it was really important for me that I talk to the public and people know why I'm doing this, and people know that this is about my brother. So here's the report live on ITV.
Is with Idai now. Let's have a look. Well, we can't see him, but how's he getting on? Good evening. First of all, I hope you can hear me okay. I'm wearing a mask because we're in quite a small fitness studio here. Everyone who's in here is wearing one, apart from, of course, the main man, Idai. Now, in order for Idai to break the world record for this, he's got to complete 5,095 reps. He's been going since 10:30 this morning, and he seems to be doing okay so far. Idai, you're happy to talk, aren't you? Whilst we're doing this.
I can speak in between these beats. But whenever the beat goes, I have to get back on to keep the schedule.
Idai, First of all, how are you feeling?
I think I'm okay at the moment under the circumstances. I'm feeling as good as I'd hoped I'd feel.
And how are you keeping yourself going? Because you must need food, water, toilet breaks.
Yes, well, every 100 reps, I'll go to the toilet if I need it, but only every 100 reps. I can take out 2 or 3 minutes. And in terms of food, I just keep snacking on small pies and pastries and sausage rolls whenever I need to, really probably every 15 minutes. So I'm just eating slowly, drinking constantly, the occasional coffee, and listening to audiobooks, playing music, whatever it takes to keep my mind in the game.
Okay, so this isn't your first world record attempt, is it? Tell me about the other two.
I will tell you about the other two in a second. So the first world record I set was for riding an elliptical stand-up bike from Land's End to John O'Groats. So that's the length of Britain. As you can see, that's an example of the bike there. And that took me 5 days to do the 900 miles. And that was the first record I did. The second one I did was basically a double crossing of Britain. So that was Land's End to John O'Groats and back again. And I did that in 11 days and 10 hours. And that was part of this project that I'm working on, which is to start a charitable foundation in memory of my late brother, Garai. He passed away in a skydiving accident in 2017.
Okay, all right. And are you feeling pretty good about this one? You think you'll be able to do it?
Yeah, I hope I can do it. I mean, it's the unknown. I really don't know. But right now I feel how I thought I'd feel. And right now I feel like
good luck with it, guys.
That is amazing, isn't it?
Wow, look at that.
Who'd have thought the secret ingredient was pies? Pies all along.
Now with the weather.
The media interviews definitely kept it interesting because you almost forget what you're doing. Whenever I start talking about my brother and about my project, I get really animated and I get really enthusiastic, and speaking to the media really helped. And although you don't see it, it's such a short media clip, but those guys were actually around for about 3 hours. So every little media clip we did, the media crew hung around for about 3 hours. They did lots of practices, they did lots of updates. But now it got into the witching hour, midnight. You can see the guys changing over. That's Stuart and that's Jack. They're just changing shift. I'm on 3,000 reps now. It's midnight. But this is completely different to the pull-ups world record attempt. I've now been training for 18 months, and my body was a completely different machine, because the pull-ups training that I did in 2019 still counts for the chin-ups record as well, in terms of it's the same exercise. That's Rupam. He's one of the volunteers as well, and him and Stu are just checking my hands and helping me rebind them. We're on 3,000. We're above 3,000 reps now, and it was this is 2 a.m. now, and you can see that my hands were starting to develop blisters. I developed a blister in the middle of my right hand, and I also started developing a blister between my two last fingers on my left hand. So Stu was helping me with the binding. On the right hand, all it needed was physiotherapy tape, but the left hand was getting quite bad as we went on, and eventually we needed to use duct tape as well, because duct tape is so thick. So yeah, I was just taking a little break. I didn't take any long breaks in this record attempt, because I didn't want my body to cool down. But Stuart just helped me rebind my hands, and I was just getting back on now. So throughout the record attempt up to this point, my hands hadn't been bound. I was just wearing my normal gloves plus the two outers, so just gloves. But as time went by, it got tougher, and at 4,000, this was the big turning point mentally. I was really tired now. I had to start drinking coffee. I was trying to keep the coffees not too regular, because they can make you anxious. But I was starting to feel like getting to 5,000 was impossible at this stage, just mentally. My body was good, but my mind was struggling. But then came morning, and like on a bike ride or any other 24-hour event, in the morning everything came back to life. And we had the media again, so I totally forgot about my plight. So this is another ITV reporter setting herself up, and she wanted to film me hitting the landmark of 5,000 reps. Now remember, the world record was 5,094. So at this point here, we had exactly 100 reps to go. So I was chatting with the media, and we were trying to get some good clips. That's me hitting 5,000 reps. And, once I hit 5,000 reps, this was the only landmark I was prepared to celebrate. I told the guys, I'm not prepared to celebrate meaningless landmarks. The only ones I'd celebrate were halfway and 5,000 reps, and of course the record. So when we got halfway, I celebrated, and when we got to 5,000, I celebrated. Now you can see here, it's getting to 9 a.m. on Saturday, the 26th. I'm having my last coffee there. And this coffee was to get me through to the end now. We had 1.5 hours left. And finally, I'd equaled the world record. So this was me on the world record. I put on my t-shirt to remind everyone why I'm doing this. And then I just banged out 2 reps. The world record was behind me. I knelt down and I thanked God, because you can only do things through the strength God gives you. But I was totally overcome by emotion. My big brother, Usengo, he was outside. I just felt he was the only person who understood what I was feeling right now, because all I could think about was our brother Garai. We'd lost him. But I still have Usengo. I still have my other brothers, my sister, my parents, my wife and my children. I've still got my family, and a lot of people have reminded me of that. Losing Garai has reminded me just how much I love these guys and how important they are. And at this stage, this guy understood what I was feeling. I wasn't celebrating breaking the world record. This wasn't an ego trip for me. I was honoring my brother Garai. He died, and when I did this, I realized the only reason I've done this is because my brother died. And in a way that just hurts. I only needed a few minutes to recompose myself, and then it was back in to give another media interview.
And he did a lot of charity work through his skydiving, and I want to continue that by establishing a charitable foundation in his name. So that's why I'm doing these world record events. It's to raise awareness and raise funds for this project. I hope you guys don't mind that I keep going, because we are in our last minutes now, and I've got to try and make as much as I can. But yeah, so we're really, that's why I'm doing this. And I just felt, relief. I've been training for more than a year for this. And sometimes, you're not sure if it's ever going to happen.
So what did it feel like when you reached the record?
When I reached the record, it was a strange feeling. It was just, I'd say, it was relief, and I just thought about my brother. That's all. I just thought about my brother.
It was quite emotional out there. Have you got your family?
I wasn't expecting that. It's just, the reality of it dawns on you. I've been training every Sunday for up to 6 hours in my garage for the whole year, and you have no guarantees that it's even going to work out. You don't even know if you can do it, but you give up. You give up hours and hours of your week. I've been training Sundays and Thursdays, plus other fitness training that I have to do to keep my body together, and it's just a huge relief that it has paid off and I've broken the record. But it is about fundraising, so I do urge people to have a look at our GoFundMe page. If you look for 24-hour chin-ups world record on GoFundMe, you'll find my page, and you can find out all the information about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and I hope that people take an interest and even support us.
I'm going to ask you a few more when you're not doing this anymore, but just in terms of the physical side of it,
yes.
How are you feeling physically now at this stage, 23 hours in?
I'm feeling pretty good. It was very, very tough in the night and in the early morning hours when it was still dark. It was just, we were going nowhere. I remember when I was on 4,700, I just thought, this is going to take forever. It's been very, very difficult, but as soon as I hit the record, I feel completely normal again. Just a bit sleep deprived, because I've been awake since 4 a.m. yesterday. So it's, I'm pretty tired in that way. I feel great. I
I didn't think I'd feel as good as I do, to be honest.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. I'll let you concentrate on what you're doing again.
Cheers.
You'll be able to see that interview at the end of this video, and how it came out on TV. But yeah, we just kept on going, and you can see here I'm now 100 reps. I'm now 100 reps ahead of the world record, and comfortably ahead. We're getting to 10 a.m. We're just coasting along, and I was feeling great. I was chatting with everybody. The weight had lifted off my shoulders, quite literally. I was still enjoying another coffee, just because I could, and there was no pressure now. But I did feel like I needed to give it my all, because I was only ever going to do this once. So here we were at 5,300 reps. I told the team that I was going to stop at 5,300, but when we got there, we had 5 minutes remaining, and we had to decide what to do with those 5 minutes, because 5,300 seems like a nice number, and it's comfortably ahead of the previous record of 5,094. But when I got here, 5 minutes just seemed like it's still a long time, and I just thought, well, why don't we just see what we can do with those 5 minutes? I hadn't really planned this, because this was my target. I'd hit my target now. So here we are standing at 5,300, and then I decided, let's just bang out a few more reps. So I kind of caught Stuart, who's doing the counting there, by surprise, because I put in more than 5 reps, I think. And then I said, okay, from here, why don't we go for at least 5,340? We need a round figure. So everyone was now looking at the clocks. Everyone was now looking at their phones to get the exact digital time. And Stuart had caught up on the reps. And then I started banging out 5 at a time again, because I just thought, we've got to get through this. I've got the reserve in me. And, I was enjoying myself now. It was just enjoying myself. This thing was over. I had nothing left to prove. I just wanted to say I'd done 100%. I just wanted to say, when people ask me, how many chin-ups can you do in 24 hours? I'll tell them, this is the number I can do, because that's what I did. And, I couldn't really have done much better than that. So here we were, just working our way through now, just enjoying ourselves. Behind that big pillar was my wife and my daughter and my son, and they were cheering me on. There was a lot of cheering going on in this room at this point, although this is the feed from the actual evidence gathering camera and the live stream, so you can't hear it. But here we were now. We'd done 5,320. I was feeling quite happy. Stuart was quite excited by it all. I was just changing the rep rates. I wasn't sticking with a particular rep rate. At this point, 5 reps, every 20 or 25 seconds felt right. So that's what I was doing. And I couldn't believe this was actually over. After all this time, this had been a journey that had taken me all these years. And here we were now. The record was broken. It was over. And I was just freestyling. I was just enjoying myself at the end of a world record attempt after blasting through 24 hours of working out. I was still keeping myself flexible. That's something that you didn't see a lot of in this video, but I was doing a lot of stretching, especially in the early morning part of the session, when the back of my shoulders was really tiring out, and even my lats and my arms. So I had to keep on stretching, and I was stretching my forearm a lot, doing that palm stretch where I place my palm flat on a surface and then really stretch it out. And I noticed that every time I did the stretches, my body felt completely renewed. So between sets, I'll just do those stretches, and they'd make my body feel completely new again. They made me feel like I was just starting again. But as the challenge wore on, I found myself needing to stretch literally every 2 minutes, whereas initially I was stretching once an hour, once every 45 minutes. And here you can see 5,333. We only had about a minute left, so we'd set our mind on 5,340. So I had 7 reps left to do. I was just pacing myself now. I had a minute to do 7 reps, which I knew I could do, but I had to get it right, because if I ended on an odd number, my OCD would never let me forget. So we banged out 3 reps, and here we were, facing history. I'd finally completed my task. It's nearly 10:30 on Saturday, the 26th of September 2020, and here I was just going for the end now. I just thought I'd just do 2, and then I asked the guys to tell me when there were 12 seconds remaining. We were on 5:338. The goal was just to do 2 more, and here I went with 12 seconds remaining, 5,340 reps, and that, my friends, was the new 24-hour chin-ups world record. We all celebrated together. It was a victory for all of us. I couldn't have done it without all these people here. There's my wife. I'm thanking her. She's seen me through all this. She's humored me on all this nonsense. She's believed in me. And there's my daughter and my son, and they believed in me probably more than I believed in myself. And I think they were just so relieved for me because they knew that if I had failed again, it would have really hurt. I needed this to work. I needed this to honor my brother, to truly honor him. And there I was. I'd done it. It still hasn't sunk in. It's probably going to take a long time for this to sink in, maybe even years, because I'm doing this voiceover exactly a week after this event took place, and it still hasn't sunk in. Nothing changed. I just feel the same. It doesn't feel the way I felt when I rode twice across Britain and set the double end-to-end world record. I really felt relief there, but maybe that's because when I rode across Britain, I also scattered my brother's ashes at each end of Britain. So that probably carried a different significance to this event. But this event was just as important to me, and this is probably the hardest thing I've achieved. When I say hardest, it's not harder than the other records I've done. It's not harder than some of the other big events I've done. But it's the one I believed in the least. It's the one I was the most out of my comfort zone. I must tell you guys, until I broke that record, I wasn't sure I could do it. I really didn't know. This was a walk into the unknown. I didn't know if I could do it. I was afraid. I was afraid of failing. I wasn't afraid of suffering. I was afraid of failing. And this is Stu just updating everybody on the live feed, because remember, we had no sound. So he wants them to know this is the new world record, 5,340. And you can see how these guys just organized this event so well for me. They made it so easy for me. And everybody's chipping in. There's my beautiful wife, Ivy. She's doing an interview with ITV. They were just asking a few questions about what it's like living with a crazy lunatic. And, she did her bit. She said her bit. And, we were all having a laugh. And we were all just relieved. And I think she was just so relieved that I was healthy, because this is the fear, that people are going to get hurt. And she was just so relieved that I was healthy. Thank you to everyone who supported us, and I'll definitely be putting an update on the fundraising page when I've had a bit of time later on in the weekend. It's been great. Thank you, everyone. I'm okay. I said my thanks to the people, the friends, and people who'd followed what I was doing, and I posed for photos because this is about getting the word out. This is about fundraising. And I'm proud of what I've achieved. I broke the world record. I've done more chin-ups than anyone else in history. And here's that news report we were doing right at the end.
More than an hour and a half to go in his 24-hour challenge, personal trainer Idai Makaya hits yet another landmark. Determined to go all the way and beat the Guinness World Record.
I'm only going to do this once in my life. Let's just do the best we can, and then I can at least say this is the best I can do.
Idai has already broken a long-distance cycling record, setting himself these challenges to raise money in memory of his brother Garai, who died in a skydiving accident 3 years ago. COVID restrictions about numbers allowed inside his gym in Milton Keynes weren't going to stop his family from supporting him. And when the moment came, with an hour to go, it was time to take a minute.
I told you it was you're never going to fail. I told you. And I've been watching the whole night. As you can see, I'm tired, but I knew he was going to do it. And I even saw that he was going to actually do it with time to spare.
Time he wasn't going to waste.
Congratulations.
Pushing, or rather pulling his way to a very grand total, beating the existing record by 246 chin-ups.
You know, I hope I've honored the memory of my brother and made my family proud and made all my friends and colleagues proud.
£10,000 already raised towards his £80,000 target. Time for a well-earned rest. Claire McGlasson, ITV News, Milton Keynes.